The story begins with a war. At that time, the Romans had attacked Africa, and the battle had been going on for many days. The unusual part was that the commander of the African army was a Roman man named Lucius. His wife was supporting him in this fight, but sadly, she was killed in a Roman attack. The Romans already had a larger army and were overpowering Africa, but Lucius and his wife had been able to stop them for a while. After his wife's death, however, Lucius lost all his courage. He loved her deeply, and her loss broke his spirit. Lucius stopped fighting, and because of that, the Romans won the war, and Africa was defeated. The Romans took control of Africa and captured Lucius and the African soldiers. They were taken to Rome, where two young brothers, Geta and Caracalla, were ruling. The first king of Rome had been kind, but under the rule of these two brothers, life became difficult. The people were unhappy because Caracalla was cruel and his mental state was unstable. General Marcus had led the Romans to victory in the war, and to celebrate, Geta organized an event for his people's entertainment. This event was a fighting match where prisoners would face dangerous, bloodthirsty monkeys. Lucius, along with other prisoners, was brought to the battlefield for this fight. As soon as Lucius arrived, he had a flashback to his childhood. He felt that the place was familiar, and he remembered that his mother had once sent him away from this field with some soldiers when he was young. This meant that Lucius had a deep connection to this place. Back in the present, the war had started on the battlefield. The fierce monkeys were released to attack the enemy soldiers. The monkeys, being bloodthirsty, killed many soldiers in an instant. The soldiers were helpless against them. Lucius and his companions watched from a distance, observing the scene. Then, with courage, intelligence, and bravery, they stepped forward and fought the monkeys that were attacking from behind. They managed to defeat the monkeys and finally killed them. The story continues with Rome's former general Macrinus watching Lucius fight very closely. When the fight was over, he took Lucius aside. Macrinus praised Lucius for his courage and fighting skills. He said, "I've seen your strength, and I want you to fight for me as my gladiator. In return, I'll give you a great reward. You'll live a good and luxurious life. Otherwise, you know how prisoners are treated here." General Macrinus wasn't a bad person, but when Lucius heard this offer, he started laughing. The general looked at him with curiosity. Lucius then said, "I didn't come here for any other reason. I came to take the head of your General Marcus, because he killed my wife." Hearing this, General Macrinus assured him, "Your mission is my responsibility. You'll get Marcus's severed head, but in return, you must follow my orders." The scene changes, and now we see General Marcus with his wife, Lucilla. Lucilla was a Roman princess. Rome had once belonged to her father, and after his death, it was passed to Lucilla's first husband, who later died in a war. Now, Lucilla was married to General Marcus. General Marcus was talking to Lucilla about his plans to take control of Rome. He said that he, not Geta and Caracalla, deserved to rule. Marcus had already planned a rebellion against the two brothers, and in a few days, a big battle would take place. The story moves forward, and Lucius is once again called to fight as a gladiator. This fight was also arranged for the entertainment of the Roman rulers, including Geta. The gladiator Lucius had to face was named Decius, a champion who had been undefeated for many years. He was overpowering Lucius as well, but Lucius didn't lose heart. Lucius first fought defensively, carefully observing his opponent. When he sensed the gladiator's weakness, Lucius seized the opportunity. He grabbed Decius's hands, took his knife, and killed him with it. The crowd was amazed. Lucius had just killed the most experienced gladiator. Even Geta, the Roman ruler, was impressed by Lucius and started praising him. In response, Lucius recited a poem that his mother had taught him when he was a child. The poem was in the Roman language, and everyone was surprised to hear it. At that moment, General Marcus also came and took Lucius away from the arena. After being taken to the jail, General Macrinus asked Lucius, "Where are you from? Where were you born?" After hearing Lucius recite the poem earlier, Macrinus started to suspect that Lucius might actually be the son of Lucilla, the Roman princess. However, no matter how many times Macrinus asked, Lucius refused to answer clearly. The scene shifts to General Marcus, who was preparing for his rebellion. At this time, many senators and important figures were surrounded by government spies, but they were also ready to support Marcus. They were fed up with Emperor Geta's harsh rule. General Marcus told them that he had formed a special army of around 5,000 men, and anyone could join to help fight. The next day, another fight was arranged by Geta, this time for Lucius and his fellow prisoners. The opponent was a gladiator riding a rhinoceros, controlled by a Roman soldier. If anyone escaped the rhinoceros, the soldier would kill them with a whip. This fight was extremely dangerous, and it seemed impossible for any prisoner to survive. The battle began, and many prisoners were brought in to face the rhinoceros. One by one, they were killed by its powerful attacks. Eventually, it was Lucius's turn. Lucius, being clever, dodged the first attack. When the rhinoceros charged at him again, Lucius picked up some dirt, blew it into the air, and blinded the rhinoceros. Taking advantage of this, he moved towards a wall. The rhinoceros, now able to see again, charged at Lucius, but Lucius quickly moved out of the way. The rhinoceros's horn got stuck in the wall. Lucius had escaped the beast, but now the Roman soldier who had been riding the rhinoceros came down to fight him. This soldier was a powerful and experienced gladiator, much stronger than the first one Lucius had fought. Lucius struggled to understand the gladiator's moves. Despite trying his best to defend himself, Lucius couldn't land an attack on his opponent. Before he could make a move, the gladiator struck Lucius and knocked him down. The fight seemed over, and Lucius was about to be killed. However, Geta, the emperor, stopped the fight with a gesture. He wanted to give Lucius another chance, as he admired his talent. As a sign of his respect, Geta recited the same poem that Lucius had recited in the previous game. Lucius had recited the poem for Lucilla after winning a fight. When Geta repeated the poem, Lucilla was reminded of many old memories. The poem felt familiar, but she couldn't remember where she had heard or read it before. She went to her room, thinking about it, but still couldn't recall. After much thought, it finally came back to her. She remembered that after her husband's death, when she was sending her son, Lucius, away with the soldiers, she had recited that same poem to him. Realizing this, Lucilla understood that Lucius was her own son. The story then flashes back to explain why Lucilla had sent her son so far away. At the time, Lucilla's husband had died in a war, and Lucius, their son, was very young. According to the law, Lucius was next in line to be king, but because he was so young, he was in danger. Anyone could kill him and take the throne. To protect her son's life, Lucilla made the difficult decision to send him away from the kingdom. Lucilla could no longer bear the thought of power and the throne falling into someone else's hands. That night, she decided to go to Lucius and tell him the whole truth. She went to the prison, and when she saw Lucius, she immediately apologized for keeping him away all those years. She explained that she had only done it to protect him. Lucilla told Lucius, "I didn't want to send you away, but it was my duty as your mother to keep you safe. After your father died, many people became your enemies. To protect you, I had to send you far away. You are my son, the rightful heir and the rightful ruler of this land." Lucilla wanted to say more, but Lucius was angry. He was troubled and confused, and it was clear that many emotions were stirring inside him. He scolded Lucilla and sent her away. The next day, another battle awaited Lucius. This fight was even more dangerous than the last. It was going to take place on a ship, which was surrounded by waters filled with hungry sharks. If Lucius lost the fight, he would be thrown into the water, and if he lost his balance during the battle and fell into the sea, the sharks would devour him. Lucius fought bravely in the battle, and after killing the gladiator in front of him, he picked up an arrow and threw it towards General Marcus. He did this because General Marcus had killed his wife, and Lucius had come to the arena with only one goal, to kill Marcus. However, Lucius missed his target, and the arrow didn't hit anyone near Geta's chair. General Marcus, concerned for his safety, quickly left the area and retreated to his room, where he continued preparing for his war plans. Then, Lucilla came to Marcus with shocking news. She told him that Lucius, her son and the true heir to the throne, had returned. This news was a huge blow to General Marcus, as he had been dreaming of ruling the kingdom himself. Meanwhile, a spy overheard their conversation and reported it to General Macrinus, the old general who had previously offered Lucius a chance to become his gladiator. Macrinus, along with a spy, went to inform the current rulers, Geta and Caracalla, about the situation. They revealed two crucial pieces of information. First, that General Marcus Acacius was planning a rebellion against them, and second, that Lucius, the rightful heir, had returned and might try to take the throne. Both Geta and Caracalla were furious upon hearing this, and they immediately ordered the arrest of both Lucilla and General Marcus Acacius. The scene shifts to Lucius, who is still in prison. A soldier sitting next to him started telling stories about the old gladiators and rulers of the land, including Lucius's own father, Maximus. Lucius, intrigued, wanted to know more about his father. The soldier took him to a place where his father's armor and swords were kept. Seeing his father's weapons, Lucius was flooded with memories from his childhood and realized that Lucilla hadn't been lying. He truly was the son of Maximus and Lucilla. The next day, King Geta organized another battle as part of his usual entertainment program. This time, he called in a special prisoner to fight, none other than General Marcus Acacius. Marcus was an experienced and legendary gladiator, so strong that no one had ever been able to defeat him. One by one, many gladiators were sent to fight him, but General Marcus Acacius easily defeated them all. After this, Lucius was called to the arena as well, following Geta's orders. This time, Lucius and General Marcus Acacius were facing each other in the arena. Lucius wanted to take revenge for his wife by killing General Marcus Acacius. But as they fought, General Marcus Acacius dropped his sword and surrendered to Lucius, saying, "Lucius, I am yours. I know you are the next true ruler here." Seeing General Marcus Acacius sitting down in surrender, Geta stood up from a distance and ordered Lucius to kill him. However, Lucius didn't want to kill Marcus Acacius, as he was no longer fighting but had thrown his sword and was defenseless. Geta, angered that Lucius refused his order, commanded his soldiers to kill General Marcus Acacius. All the soldiers rushed in, and to Lucius's shock, they shot Marcus Acacius with arrows, killing him. Lucius was deeply saddened by General Marcus Acacius's death, but saw an opportunity to use it to turn the people against Geta. He shouted to the crowd, "Look, this is your king. He killed the greatest general of this land, the man who fought for your king for years. If the life of such a great man means nothing, imagine what your lives mean to this king. One day, he will betray all of you." Hearing this, the people became furious and began to turn against Geta. Soon, this unrest grew into a full-scale protest, with people taking to the streets, even at night, to demand Geta's removal from power. As the riots spread across Rome, General Macrinus saw an opportunity. He went to Geta's brother, Caracalla, and told him, "Geta will never let you become emperor. He wants to rule all of Rome by himself and will maintain his power at any cost." Caracalla, who was mentally unstable, became enraged by Macrinus's words. In a fit of anger, he attacked Geta and killed him by cutting off his head with a sword. Caracalla had been easily manipulated by Macrinus and acted out of fury, ending Geta's reign. Meanwhile, Lucilla, unaware of these events, went to the prison to visit Lucius. She brought with her the royal ring, the symbol of the true heir to the throne, and gave it to Lucius. She told him, "Now you are responsible for this." Lucius said nothing as he silently took the ring, but his eyes were filled with regret. He took Lucilla's hand, looked into her eyes, and said, "I am sorry, mother. I couldn't save General Marcus Acacius, but now I will save you. I don't want to lose you." With that, he hugged his mother tightly, and all the resentment between them vanished. The next day, the new king, Caracalla, returned to his fort, announcing his rule and declaring that Geta was dead, making him the new king. Before the crowd could react, General Macrinus arrived, holding Geta's head. He informed everyone that Caracalla had murdered his brother, Geta. As a punishment for killing the king, Caracalla was arrested and sent to jail, all under the influence of General Macrinus. Caracalla didn't fully understand what was happening, and with both Geta and Caracalla out of the way, General Macrinus declared himself the new king. Meanwhile, Lucius began to secretly plan his next move. He handed the royal ring, which his mother Lucilla had given him, to a loyal soldier and instructed him to deliver it to General Dorus, telling him that the Emperor of Rome, Lucius, was asking for help. The soldier, realizing that Lucius was no ordinary person, obeyed the order and went to seek help from General Dorus. At the same time, General Macrinus, drunk with power, called for a new gladiator game, intending to humiliate Lucius by forcing him to fight multiple opponents. Lucius had refused to become a gladiator for Macrinus, and now the general wanted revenge. When Lucius received the message about the gladiator fight, he was filled with anger but kept his emotions in check. He had already obtained the key to the prison from a guard. Taking advantage of the opportunity, Lucius broke out of jail, attacked the soldiers, and escaped. His goal was to meet General Dorus and his army and return to take down General Macrinus, now the self-proclaimed king of Rome. Lucius knew he had to act quickly to reclaim his rightful place and restore justice. Soon, the news reached General Macrinus that General Dorus was coming with his army to attack Rome. In response, Macrinus hastily prepared for war, abandoning the gladiator game to focus on the upcoming battle. The scene shifted to a battlefield where two armies stood ready to fight. On one side was General Macrinus with the Roman army, and on the other was Lucius and General Dorus with their smaller, but brave and determined forces. Despite being outnumbered, Lucius and Dorus's army fought fiercely, showing great courage as they clashed with Macrinus's troops. The battle for the fate of Rome had begun. As the two armies clashed on the battlefield, General Macrinus and Lucius finally came face to face. Lucius immediately attacked, declaring, "I am fighting to save Rome from people like you." With that, a fierce battle erupted between them. They fought intensely, with both Lucius and General Macrinus gaining the upper hand at different moments. Their sword fight was relentless, and in the heat of the battle, they fell into the water. Even then, they did not stop fighting. At one point, General Macrinus seemed to have the upper hand. He managed to push Lucius underwater, and it looked as if Lucius was about to accept defeat. But just then, Lucius heard the voice of his father, Maximus, in his mind, reminding him to be strong. This memory gave him the courage to fight back. With renewed strength, Lucius launched a final attack on General Macrinus and killed him. The victory was his. As Lucius stood victorious, he addressed the people around him, saying, "My father, Maximus, had a dream for Rome, a dream of a peaceful country where everyone could live in harmony. Unfortunately, no ruler made his dream come true, but I promised to fulfill that dream." The crowd erupted in applause, showing that they had accepted Lucius as their rightful ruler and king. In the end, Lucius claimed his rightful place as the leader of Rome, and the story concluded with him finally fulfilling his father's dream of peace and justice for all.